Hello and welcome to Newsfeed, your daily dose of what people are talking about online, from news stories to what's trending. Now, on Monday evening, U.S. President Joe Biden announced that the leader of Al-Qaeda had been killed in Kabul by a U.S. drone strike. Believed to be one of the masterminds of the 9/11 terror attacks, Ayman al-Zawahiri had long been one of Washington's top targets.
71-year-old Ayman al-Zawahiri, one of the world's most wanted terrorists, was the target. He has been known as the leader and the voice of al-Qaeda since the death of Osama bin Laden in 2011. Al-Zawahiri was also instrumental in the September 11th attack plannings, the bombings of the USS Cole in 2000, and several other attacks on U.S. embassies around the world. The president just announced al-Zawahiri was hit from his safe house in downtown Kabul. The president said there were no other civilian casualties. This mission, though, proves the United States does have significant over-the-horizon capabilities. Now, after 20 years, when the United States controversially pulled out of Afghanistan last summer, both the U.S. military and intelligence sector said we still had what's called over-the-horizon capabilities. That means the U.S. could still conduct significant and accurate strikes on specific targets in Afghanistan without actually having boots on the ground. And today's announcement proves that is true. Now that al-Zawahiri is dead, al-Qaeda will have to promote some new leader, and there have been reports that the group's numbers have increased since the Taliban took over Afghanistan.
Such a major development sparked a huge reaction online. Many Americans celebrated and hoped his death would bring some closure to the families of 9/11 victims. But other netizens were looking for a debate. Journalist Rukmini Kalimachi was among those who underlined the location of the strike, Kabul. The Taliban had promised not to allow terror groups to operate in areas under their control. But Kalimachi says the fact that al-Qaeda was in the Afghan capital speaks volumes about the group's current position. Former President Barack Obama, who ordered the raid on al-Qaeda's previous leader Osama bin Laden, said it's possible to root out terrorism without being at war with Afghanistan. There were many others who agreed with Obama's tweet, but some questioned past policy. Entrepreneur David Sachs asked if the U.S. could kill the top al-Qaeda leader without having troops on the ground. Why did it wage a costly war in Afghanistan for 20 years? Well, there are also questions about U.S. involvement in another region of the world. The U.S. Speaker of the House of Representatives is in Asia, but Nancy Pelosi's tour of the region has been overshadowed by a stopover in Taiwan that's outraged China. Beijing has repeatedly warned Pelosi not to go to Taiwan, a self-rule island that China claims and sees as a breakaway province. But in response, Washington said that it wouldn't be intimidated by what it calls Beijing's saber rattling. Ahead of Pelosi's trip to Taiwan, the Chinese army posted a clip on WeChat showcasing its military might. The army division featured in the video was the Eastern Theater Command. That's the division that patrols the Taiwan Strait. The official People's Liberation Army account on WeChat also published a short article saying its forces are on high alert and will bury all invaders. Netizens have also reported seeing increased military buildup in southern Chinese cities near the Taiwanese islands. This tweet accuses Pelosi of playing nuclear chicken, adding that residents in the area are all within the blast radius. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Hua Chunying tweeted this image, sarcastically asking if the House of Representatives is part of the U.S. government and how a visit by Pelosi to Taiwan could really be called an unofficial trip. While Liu Xiaoming, who is China's special representative on Korean Peninsula affairs, tweets that Pelosi visiting Taiwan is a gross interference in China's internal affairs and would trample on the One China principle. Pelosi's travel plans also garnered a lot of attention online, to say the least. Abby here shared a screen grab from flightradar.com. More than 200,000 people were tracking the flight Pelosi was traveling on from Malaysia. The Flight Radar website later crashed as over 300,000 people tried to track Pelosi's flight. One netizen pointed out how it's interesting that amid uproar recently over celebrities contributing to the climate crisis by taking private jets, that it was the U.S. House Speaker's air travel that made the flight tracking website crash. U.S. officials have sought to reassure China that the Speaker's visit to the island chain does not represent any change in the White House's policy towards Taiwan. Washington has also pointed out that House speakers have visited Taiwan before and that other U.S. lawmakers traveled there earlier this year. But it would be an understatement to say that rumors over Pelosi's trip have completely overshadowed other aspects of her Asia visit. Her tour aims to boost bilateral relations in the region, but journalists covering her visit couldn't seem to steer far away from the topic of Taiwan, as you can see from these posts from Malaysia, which was the second stop on her tour. Reporters also shared clips from Taiwan showing increased activity at the airport. As China promised a strong and resolute military response to Pelosi's trip, residents in Taiwan's capital are divided about how they feel about the controversial visit.
Pelosi's visit could be a good thing for us. Regarding China's statements and hateful comments, actually, it's always been like this for us. So we look at the matter with peace of mind and are not overly scared.
Any visit by Pelosi won't have any real benefit. In the end, we are just a chess piece in someone else's game. It's very hard for Taiwan to walk its own path, as we are so nondescript on the international stage. So there's nothing we can do. So this visit doesn't mean anything, to be honest. It's just a war of words.
Twins in Brazil who were conjoined at the head have successfully been separated. 3-year-olds Arthur and Bernardo Lima shared part of their brain and a main vein that carries blood back to the heart. According to the medical charity Gemini Untwined, 1 in 60,000 births result in conjoined twins, and only 5% of those are joined at the head. For such a complicated and delicate surgery, doctors had to prepare for months, and they were aided by virtual reality. The team of specialists from Brazil and the UK used CT and MRI brain scans to create a digital map of the twins' shared cranium that allowed them to plan and even practice for the procedure in a virtual reality trial surgery. But even after all that VR prep, it still came down to performing the surgery IRL. It required 27 hours and almost 100 medical staff, but it was a success. The boys became the oldest craniopagus twins with a fused brain to be separated. Doctors say the boys will still require more procedures as they develop, but for now, they are recovering well in hospital, lying for the first time side by side and face to face. Now on to some stories making headlines around the world. Now only days after Beyonce released her much-anticipated album Renaissance, she's been receiving criticism on social media for using an offensive word. Her team has released a statement saying she will change the lyrics on her song Heated, co-written by rapper Drake. The song features a word that's used as a derogatory slur for people who have spastic cerebral palsy disorder. Beyonce's spokesperson says the word was not used intentionally in a harmful way, since it's also used colloquially to mean going crazy, but it will be removed from the album. But Queen Bee is not the only one who has made this mistake with this word. Another famous American singer, Lizzo, recently faced backlash for using the same ableist slur. But when the criticisms went viral on Twitter, Lizzo immediately sent out a personal apology and promised to change the lyrics. She was ultimately praised for her response as she acknowledged her error and said that as a fat Black woman in America, I've had many hurtful words used against me, so I understand the power words can have. However, the controversy has taken some people by surprise. They say they had never heard the word before and are only now learning that it's a slur, especially people in North America who say they didn't know how offensive the word is and thought it was just normal slang. However, on the other side of the pond, Brits have explained that it's a real nasty term aimed at the disabled. The confusion about the word's links with disability discrimination has not made the issue less frustrating for advocates. They say people let it slide as a slur before because that's how badly society marginalizes people with disabilities. So people who have actually faced this slur and other mistreatment because of their disabilities are speaking out. They say that while there's much more awareness and sensitivity now about racist and sexist terms, ableist language is often overlooked.
It really links into just the world and how people think about stuff, because it's always other people speaking for autistic people. Like, always other people thinking that they can speak for autistic people and disabled people just because we don't function like you guys do. I'm sorry, but it's not a race. And also, like, you need to be a human being and take other people's perspectives into consideration. And lo and behold, if you became wheelchair bound or your son or daughter became autistic, then you'll see.
There was also controversy in Australia's upper house of parliament after an Indigenous senator referred to Britain's Queen Elizabeth as a colonizer while taking her oath of office. Lydia Thorpe raised her fist in the air as she gave her revised Pledge of Allegiance. The Senate president told Thorpe she had to read the oath as written. After a long pause, the second-term senator complied, though she kept her fists raised. The incident has sparked debate about why Australian lawmakers are required to swear loyalty to the British royal family. The British monarch is still the head of state in Australia and many other Commonwealth countries. But increasingly, people say this practice is out of touch with modern times. Indigenous groups in particular have fought for greater recognition of their own sovereignty of the injustices committed throughout colonial history.
Please recite the affirmation on the card handed to you.
I, Sovereign Lydia Thorpe, do solemnly and sincerely affirm and declare that I will be faithful and I bear true allegiance to the colonising Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
Senator Thorpe.
Lydia is from the Greens Party, which has been outspoken about the lingering and damaging legacy of colonialism, especially on Indigenous groups. Now to Italy, where there's been outrage after a disabled Nigerian man was beaten to death in the coastal town of Civitanovo Marche. Protests erupted after footage emerged of Alika Oguchukwu being brutally attacked in broad daylight. In the video, he's seen trying to sell trinkets to a man and his girlfriend. After an exchange of words, the assailant grabbed Oguchukwu's crutch and struck him to the ground. According to police, the attacker repeatedly punched the victim to death with his bare hands. Although the incident happened on a busy street, no one is seen intervening to stop the assault. The death has highlighted the treatment of migrants in Italy as the country heads into an election. The lawyer for the suspect has insisted there was no racial elements to his actions, but netizens disagree with that.
I need justice for my husband. That is what I want. I need justice because it's too much. The pain is too much.
Not revenge.
The pain is too much for me. I need justice.
Let's hope we see justice served over that senseless murder. Now our next story, Lieutenant General Sir Thomas Picton was a Welsh officer who fought in the Napoleonic Wars for the British Army. He was killed at the Battle of Waterloo. So why am I talking about him now? Well, his portrait was hung at the National Museum of Cardiff for years. The description next to the artwork said he was a military hero, but during the Black Lives Matter protests, it was pointed out that actually Picton was brutal to the people of Trinidad, where he was the governor in the 19th century. In late 2021, the museum removed the portrait. It's now back, but with a difference. This time it's been placed in a less prominent side room, and it's surrounded by descriptions of how he tortured people on the Caribbean island, including a 14-year-old girl of mixed heritage. The museum calls this reframing his legacy. Sometimes a business will do anything to get publicity online, including doing the exact opposite of good business practices. At one burger chain in Australia, you can forget hospitality rules and the customer is always right. Instead, you'll get the full Karen treatment. Karen's Diner has gone viral on TikTok for being rude to its customers. The restaurant says it provides good quality food, but bad mouth. The staff shout at customers to shut up and sit down. They swear at people. There are even signs with swear words on them. While anyone under 16 is not allowed in without an adult, people go to the diner and have been recording rude exchanges on TikTok. The no-nonsense treatment gets so much love on the internet, the chain is opening up new branches.
Who's gonna watch this video, babes?
Everyone!
Why are you filming fancy views? Welcome to Karen's Diner.
And finally, a story even a Karen couldn't complain about. Now, if you've ever been to Turkey, you've surely seen cats and dogs like this everywhere. It's almost as if it's their city and we humans are the guests. Well, one of those cute pups in Istanbul has gone viral after an online user shared this video. Definitely gonna go to Istiklal and find that dog. And that wraps up today's news feed. Find the show on our YouTube channel and do subscribe, share your thoughts in the comments, and let us know what stories you're keen to see on our show. See you same time tomorrow.